Right now, as you're watching this video, I am probably in rehearsal somewhere running around backstage. I am probably in rehearsal somewhere singing Too Darn Hot. I am probably backstage somewhere wearing a corset, a petticoat, an underskirt, and a dress, and I am complaining about all of it. I am very likely running around in a nun's habit somewhere on the Upper East Side. I am probably in a theater somewhere attempting to speak German and failing miserably at it. One time during Hell Week, I was collecting money for director's gifts, and one of my friends decided to put money in my bra. The rest of the cast followed along, I forgot it was there, and walked on stage like that. Then when I got off stage, one of my technician friends stuck tape on my boobs. I mean, was that like to make sure the money didn't fall out of your bra, to make like a secure boob wallet? Like what? My director was very confused, but didn't say anything until the entire cast decided to leave lipstick marks on that same technician's face. We came out for notes, and she simply yelled, "No kissing each other during intermission." In my time as a director, I've never had to tell people to not kiss during rehearsal, but I did have to take a Nerf gun away once.
Whoa now!
My first show ever running sound, we did Anti-Mame for our fall play. For the horse scene, we had coconuts. Our director was supposed to clap them together to sound like hoofbeats, leaning outside of the tech booth window. Our actress playing Mame had to run around the back area of the theater as if she was getting run around by a horse. Our director dropped the coconuts on her head as she ran by, giving her a concussion the day before the show. We didn't have an understudy.
Wow, you can really dance. Wow, you can really dance.
Last October, my society did Jesus Christ Superstar, and during the temple scene, there were 5 of us, including myself, who had to dance as we were prostitutes in the temple. Our costumes were standard belly dancing costumes, but with skirts instead of pants, which had coins on them that caused no end of trouble. At least one of us got tangled with another girl each performance, and on our last performance, myself and the girl dancing next to me got tangled, and we couldn't break away from each other. We ended up having to dance still attached to each other, while another girl who was supposed to be selling carpets hit us with a rug to try and free us.
I'm taking a nap!
You wanna take a nap?
I'm taking a nap here.
The first show I stage managed, the director got sick a few days before opening. He took a lot of cold medicines, and then during one of our final tech rehearsals, he laid down and fell asleep on the stage. He'd fallen asleep in strange places during rehearsals before, so I wasn't worried. I just had to tell the actors to pretend he wasn't there. He woke up in the middle of the final act and just went back to sitting in the audience.
You need pants!
No.
Put your pants on!
No.
Oh, come on.
Second to last full run through before opening night of 1776, we had a really difficult costuming company. Thompson deadass went on stage and did most of the run with no pants. Now, I live my life by the motto of do not wear real pants if you don't have to. However, being on stage in a theatrical production falls under the umbrella of what is considered a situation where one might need pants. It was our final dress for Urinetown. I had a quick change from Privilege to P to Mr. Cladwell. I had to exit stage left and enter stage right. The song ends and I'm running from stage left to stage right for my change. I didn't know that 5 other people were running to stage left. I slam into one. I bounce backwards and fall, slamming my head into a metal fuse box. He goes up to help me, so I push him out of the way, start running, saying, "I am not missing this change." I made the change and was covered in bruises the next day.
Hey, Terry, you want some? This bitch empty.
So in my high school's performance of The Wizard of Oz last year, we had a stuffed dog for Toto. So on Tuesday of Hell Week, they were doing a scene with just the Lion, Tin Man, and Scarecrow. So me and Dorothy are sitting next to the prop table, just out of sight, watching this scene, when we realized that Toto was supposed to be out there. Dorothy grabs Toto and chucks him onto the stage, and he hits the Tin Man right in the face. The Tin Man picks up Toto, looks over at us, and mouths, "Not yet," and chucks him back at us. Now, Dorothy's mom had brought her dinner, which was pancakes. Yes, she was eating in costume, and she was eating them as this was all happening. Anyway, me and Dorothy both go to catch Toto at the same time, and somehow he ended up in the pancakes, one half of him covered in maple syrup. We both sprinted to the dressing room, did some magic, and everything ended up fine. He wasn't sticky anymore, but he did smell like syrup still. And the best part? The director and stage manager never found out. Until the cast party.
She's really good.
I was working as the ASM for a community theater production of Shrek The Musical. My best friend was stage managing. It was late at night after the cast had gone home following an incredibly long dress rehearsal. Since it was a dress rehearsal, the stage was covered in massive set pieces, instruments, and a 20-foot dragon puppet that required 3 puppeteers in special harnesses to manage. My friend and I were doing the regular cleanup when the director called us over. "Hey, so Woody Allen's jazz band is playing in this theater tomorrow night," he said. I didn't know Woody Allen played in a jazz band, but that wasn't the end of his statement. "We don't want them messing with our stuff. Move everything off the stage and into the back room. As a meager team of exhausted crew members hauled equipment and puppets from one side of the theater to the other late into the night, my friend and I grumbled about how we had been extremely inconvenienced by Woody Allen. Now, whenever Woody Allen comes up in conversation, I feel obligated to share my tale of woe.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of OSHA violation.
I just got done working Beauty and the Beast for a summer stock. The whole tech week had been a mess, but on our last dress, it was going great. The show was flawless leading up to the mob fight scene with Gaston and the Beast. Well, our director decided he wanted it to be an actual stunt, so they were fighting up on a platform. They made it halfway through the scene, and our Beast lost his footing and slammed Gaston against the railing and flips over the railing and falls 8 feet onto his back, but the momentum sent Gaston tumbling after him, so he landed on top of our Beast. The best part? The summer stock brings in blind and deaf children to the show on last dress. And this, my friends, is precisely why you always do safety tests on things that could possibly be unsafe before you put it on stage.
Oops, my heart went.
This was during the second night of our show, Finians Rainbow. My technical director was out of town that weekend, so I took over as assistant technical director. I was the only high schooler to work that show. We were in the middle of the show and our blackout cues just stopped working. So I left the booth to go find one of the other technicians who just happened to be the lighting designer and was up on our bridge helping our spot ops. As I walked backstage to get the stairs to go up to the bridge, one of the people on run crew stopped me to tell me that the air conditioner was leaking. I looked at him like he was crazy because it was the middle of March. I went up, told the other technician what was going on, and he rushed down to the light board to find out that someone had bumped faders C and D, and that's why we couldn't black out. Next, we went backstage, and for sure something was leaking. So the other technician went up to our grid, looked up, and could see the sky and snowflakes coming in. One of the middle schoolers was playing with the crank that opened the emergency fire exit on the grid. So about a year ago, I was in a show called Nonsense and I was playing Sister Mary Leo. And Sister Mary Leo wanted to be the first nun ballerina. That's why she is called Sister Mary Leo, because Leo, like leotard, you get it? Because she wants to be the first nun ballerina, during the show, she has 2 solo ballet numbers. One of which was called The Dying Nun. If you want to know the definition of weird, it is doing a ballet about the convent cook who cooks a poisonous stew that kills almost all of the nuns in the convent while wearing a giant headpiece that is quite literally 3 feet wide, and at the end of said number having confetti dumped on your head from the 2nd level of the set. So as I just mentioned, I had to perform this ballet number while wearing a giant ridiculous hat. It was supposed to be the Sally Fields flying nun hat, and I had just like a ridiculous number of problems with this frickin' hat. So the first time we got the hat and the first time I tried it on, I put it on and I attached it to my head and I said, yeah, it's kind of big, but it fits my head. It's all good. And so now fast forward to Tech Week, and I have to get this hat on over my nun's habit, and the hat would not fit on my head with the nun's habit on, so we had to attach an elastic band to the inside of the hat to make it fit. So we do that, we modify the hat, and then I put it on and go to perform the ballet with the hat on. And about 15 seconds into the ballet, the thing starts falling down towards my eyes. And keep in mind that the night that this is happening, the first time I noticed that the thing would fall in front of my face was the night that we had a photographer there. I am not kidding when I say there are show photos where I'm dancing and the hat is here. In addition to the hat falling in front of my eyes, the hat would also slowly start falling off as I was dancing. And keep in mind that the Dying Nun Ballet was not graceful or dainty. It was really frenetic and really crazy, and there was a point in it where I literally had to just run all over the stage. So because I was moving around like crazy and just jumping around, the thing would get jostled and it would just start falling off. So the next night in Tech, we pinned the band that would hold it to my head to my nun's habit to try to make it stay on better, but that still didn't fix the problem of the thing falling in front of my eyes. And so for the rest of Tech Week, we could not solve the problem of this hat either falling off or falling in front of my eyes. And for most of Tech Week, I was just dancing blind. And then on opening night, as I started dancing, I could feel the thing coming off. And I was just so annoyed with it, and I didn't want to be dancing blind in front of an audience. And I also had gotten injured earlier that day, so me dancing blind was just not at all safe. And so as I was on stage doing this ballet, I gracefully flipped it off. and then the next night we finally figured out how to pin it to my head so it wouldn't fall off and it wouldn't blind me. And also, this hat was literally about 3 feet wide, and in the theater where I was performing the show, the passageway between the wings is pretty narrow at a couple of spots, and it was narrow enough that with the hat on, I would have to tilt just to make it through the passageway.
What kind of fuckery is this?
I'm chilling in the dressing room around 15 minutes before curtain when I notice a group of kids all crowding around something and making a lot of noise. I move closer and find out that the ASM has, for some reason, bought her pet baby sugar glider to rehearsal with her and is keeping it in a shoebox. For those who don't know, a sugar glider is basically a smaller squirrel that can also fly, and placing it in close proximity with a bunch of loud teenagers trying to pet it went about as well as you'd expect. Suffice to say, it lost its motherfucking mind. It wound up flying out of the ASM's hands and into a locker, so someone panicked and closed the locker door, surely trying to help. However, this only caused the sugar glider to become pinned between the locker door and the wall, slowly suffocating it. After about an hour of weighing the risks, we eventually realized that there's no way we can conceal from our director that an Animal Planet documentary is taking place backstage. By the way, the rehearsal was 100% happening on stage during all of this. Director has an understandably what the fuck reaction upon being informed, but since an animal dying in the dressing room would have probably generated a lot of paperwork for her, she had our theater manager go backstage with a power drill to disassemble the locker by hand. The sugar glider escaped relatively unharmed, but probably traumatized, and to this day it remains an infamous legend within the theater department. And yes, I have photo evidence to back all of this up. The person who sent in this story was actually kind enough to send me said photo evidence, and here it is. And for the record, when I read this story at Starbucks this morning, there were 2 old ladies at the table adjacent to mine, and in the midst of their little chat that they were having over coffee on a Wednesday morning, they both became kind of suspicious and kind of creeped out by me, who was just ever so quietly whispering what the fuck into my laptop as I read this thing.
And nothing can go wrong. Oh no, it all went wrong.
So my school was doing Shrek The Musical. During the second tech week rehearsal, there was a slight mishap with one of the lights. During What's Up Duloc, there was an extra smoke effect. One of the lights was getting so hot that it was burning the set down. From then on, the inside joke was, things are burning up here in Duloc.
What's that smell?
Garbage.
We were doing a production of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for our spring musical. Tech Week was hard enough with the insane amount of set changes, including one during a scene with the lights on and everyone on stage. But I digress. This story actually takes place on opening night, where everything went wrong. I was in charge of not only set changes, but the main guy's quick changes and tying him up later in the show. Firstly, I was assigned to take on a couch for the second scene, but my manager took me off it before we opened because I couldn't make it from moving a set scene one off and then running to the other side of the stage. So she puts on another guy, and he and the original girl were supposed to do it. Not only did he forget that, but the original girl blamed me for not doing it. So when my stage manager was reminded by me that I had been reassigned, she chewed out the original girl so much that it made me smile. Secondly, in regards to quick changes, we had to keep changing his clothes in nearly every scene, and he sweat a lot. And he spent the majority of the show in a wheelchair. Then, when I had to tie him up, no matter how tight the knots were, he somehow kept making the knots loose and making them come undone. So we gave up on those pretty quickly. And here's my favorite story. At one point during the show, he gets wheeled off stage and we would simulate a crashing sound, implying that he crashed into the street. How did we make this sound? We filled a garbage can with metal utensils and threw it against the wall. Usually we left the lid off so it wouldn't fall off. However, we left it on the first night by accident. So what happens when we threw the can against the wall? It pops off. It then rolls out of the wing, onto the stage, around the 2 main leads, off the stage, and into the audience. And from my view in the wing, our director had this beautiful face that just read, yeah, sure. Why not? I am a director, and I have made that face.